Good Sunday noontime to you. Well, these are the washers there. They're kind of like a hard white, like an appliance white. They're metal. They stick right to the magnet. This is going to just barely fit in there. The hole lines up perfectly. I just have to drill it out to 1/4. Alright, so I can replace that with this one. But I can't. I could probably drill out the hole to put one over here too, but it's not going to work because it's going to hit up into here. So we're going to still leave this the way it is, so there'll still only be one washer on that. This looks a good 3 inches, might even be more. This is 2 inches in diameter. I didn't measure it, but I've got a total of 6 of these. These are all $1. I got 3 of them, 3 packages of 2 for $2 total, and they came with a little screw and nut, which I can always use on a project. I don't throw anything away, I can use it. So I got my battery out here. I tested this, it works just fine. What I think I will do though is to take that off and maybe put a little 1 or 2 screws in there to go into the plastic. I'll find a tiny screw like I had sticking through this hole before I drilled it out, just so that the point will go into the gear. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a screw down at the bottom, not like that, in here. I'm going to drill a hole, I'm going to put a screw in there. That point will go in, right in between the teeth in the valley there. So I'm going to drill a tiny little hole in here and do that. We have a problem here, Houston. Thought I'm going to have to use the 2-inch washer. I have no choice. This fits perfectly, except for this nut here. I got to have these nuts down on the plate to hold the plate. All the others clear, except this. This nut is going to drag on this rim here, and the only other way I can do that, actually I can't do that. I can't file it off because it's all going to be assembled. So this nut is in the way here when this spins around. The others clear, this one don't, so we're going to have to use the smaller one, that's all. Well, these will come in handy for something. I don't know what these originally went to. This had a round hole in it and I just made it bigger. The others have a square hole in them. And they have 2 little dimples, one here and one here. I have no idea what they are for. But these are tiny little carriage bolts. So those alone were worth the price I paid for them. Okay, so let me get that going. I want to put 1 or 2 screws in here. And I'll do that and come back, because this head will not stick up all that much to interfere with the rope that goes around. Okay. I drilled a tiny hole. And this is threaded right into this pipe. I tried drilling over on this side and I screwed up, got too close to the edge. So we're going to put the pipe on this way. So that should work. I just got to push it down and make sure that the point isn't sticking in too far. I'll just have to file it down a little bit. Well, let me give it a try and I'll come back. Perfect. I only need the 1 screw in there because this thing is going to be held down by the big washer. Well, the 2-inch washer anyways. Okay, so we're all set with that. And that screw isn't really going to interfere too much with the rope going around. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm wiring them outside, or roping them if you want to call it that, outside, and then we'll just pull this through here and then redo here. There's still a lot of weight. This hand has very little in it, but it's still kind of hard to pull up. And I have no other way to do it. I don't know of any other way to do it. But the hand doesn't have to go that high. The arm don't have to go that high. But I'm pulling pretty hard on that. So hard that this motor might not even be able to do it. But the only way to find out is to try it. So I heated the end of the rope and I wrapped it around the bolt, which is here like this. What I think I'm going to do is to put some hot glue in there, because I don't want this thing pulling through, because I couldn't make a big ball on the end of this with the heat gun. I mean, not the heat gun, I mean with this thing. And it just fell off after. It's hard to use these things outside. There's a little breeze and it keeps blowing out, you know. But it wouldn't get a big enough ball on the end so it would pull through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to, maybe I'll stick some putty in there or something. I'll stick something in there to wedge it in, and then I'll put these centering washers back in. And we got the screw in the side here, so we're fine. We are going to have to use the 2-inch washer. It'd be nice if I could use this, but it's going to hit one of the nuts on this, and you can't move it out more because that's the spacing of these. About all this Harbor Freight tape is good for is packing, and I put about 3 or 4 pieces in there and just shoved it in there. So it's wound around one turn here. It's got a ball on the end where I melted it, and then I got this packing in, so that's not going to pull out. So then we put the 2 washers back in. Okay, so that comes even with the end of this, and then the fender washer goes on like that. And then I have another washer right here that's going to go in like that. You didn't see this before because I had it all together. And then this plate goes over it, and that'll act as a bushing so that this will not drag. Now, because this is adjustable up and down to a certain degree, I could stick another washer in there to give it a little bit more spacing. But let me see if I can find a larger washer instead of that little tiny one. And once I get this all assembled, then I got to make a base for this out of plywood, I think 1/4-inch plywood, mount those 2 clamps that I showed you to hold that to the board, and that's all there is to it. And then work it up into Dorkel. That's going to be the hardest, to get that lined up into Dorkel, and then I'll take all the slack up on this by pulling it through on the arm outside here. So I won't have to fight to get up inside to work on hooking this up. If all goes well, I should be able to. I just got to decide where I want the rope to come out. And the rope is going to wind around, of course, this, so it could come out here it could come out here or whatever, because it's gonna, as this turns, it's gonna wind around anyways. So I might have to have a little guide for this, or it could go against the screws. Matter of fact, I'm going to let it go against the screws, and I'll probably slide Teflon tubing over it so it doesn't rub all the time on the threads and, you know, fray the nylon. Okay, we got 2 pieces of Teflon here. The rope is going to come through here. It's going to be like on an angle like this. And then we just pull up the slack here, and we test it and then cut off whatever excess at this point. This way we don't, there's no way I would have been able to put that in Dorkle and bolt all this up and lock it up and everything else. It has to be done this way. So now what I got to do is to get some kind of mounting in here with those clamps, and that is going to be difficult. I'm going to have to put a piece of plywood here instead of making the whole thing on a piece of plywood. Just a piece for here for the 2 bolts that are going to come through here. The screw clamps rather, that are going to go one here and one here. So I need to put a little small piece of plywood in here. Alright, I got the 2 clamps snapped on here. They stick right to the magnet because there's a strong magnetic field on this motor. And all I'm going to be able to do is to make the base plate, screw this down to that, and then drill a hole here and drill a hole here and put a bolt through Dorkle and mount that through that way, and you won't see this underneath the shirt anyways. Alright, so we got that mounted. We got the little shim underneath there, as I said it would need. And the rest of this don't need any support. We just got to put a couple of screws in here, bolts I guess, to go through the side of Dorkle. And those little carriage bolts might work out, but they got very small heads on them. They'll probably pull through here. So it's pulling the rope through the cable tie. It's not clamped on there good enough, I guess. Alright. So we can tighten that. Oh, it's pretty tight though. Pretty neat, huh? Reversed it. It's slipping down because of the this here. Not that the motor's moving. Okay, the only thing I have to be very careful of is coming to the end. It could cause a problem, so I will have to watch that, just like I do with the head. But I think we've got it. All right. That's it for today. That's all I'm going to do today. I've been very busy with a lot of things. All right, I'm going to end this video, and I just want to let you know that I got all the transistors in. I had a heck of a time getting them in because of all this silicone grease. Every one of these transistors is, most all of them are open, and there's, I think, one that's shorted. So they were all bad, which is what I figured. But I had a heck of a time soldering them because there was heatsink compound on the pins as I pushed them through. There's nothing much I can do about that. very rarely ever work with transistors. So, you know, when you put heatsink compound on the transistor, it's going to get on the pins. There's no two ways about it. And then I had it all over my hands too, trying to do it. But anyways, I'm getting voltage out, and I put it up on the variac, okay, and the voltage kept climbing, and when I got to 71 volts on this, I was getting 13.5 volts out of here. And then I pushed it up a little more, and it just kept climbing and climbing. And this 6388 transistor here, the heatsink was very warm, but not hot to the touch. So I have no idea why. I'm going to have to check with Mike and see if he would work on it, but I don't think anybody could without having the rest of the power supply, because you got these cables that go in here. So anyways, I don't want to get too long on this subject. So it's not fixed. It is, as far as this end is concerned, but with 71 volts coming in here from the line, from the variac, I'm getting 13.5 out of here. And I didn't even try to push it up to 115, 118. It would probably be 23 volts coming out of here, for all I know. So it looks like Uncle Dorkel's going to have at least his right arm working, and we can... Oh, this is hard. We can do something with this maybe, but that's later. If I got room. I don't think I'm going to have room in there. You can see how much room this thing takes up. So I gotta make a reversing circuit for this that can operate through the wireless remote over here. So that's later on. The mere fact that I got this hooked up and ready to go once I get the controlling unit in here is a big achievement, I think. Thanks for watching.